All right, good morning, everyone. Sorry about that little delay. Welcome to I'd call this our morning check-in show. All right, just our morning check-in, not the Coach Nate show. Usually we would have one on Saturday, but today I wanted to do just a little morning check-in, see how everyone's doing, and have just kind of a catch-up and see how everyone's doing, answer some questions that you guys might have, see how our goals are going for 2024. We're already January 20th, 2024. I cannot believe that. And welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for the thumbs up, too, by the way. But I want to do a little morning check-in and then also talk a little bit about some nutritional guidelines, some important things, some things that you can see up on the screen there. King Osiris, good to see you in chat. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. If everyone else is in chat, say hi, or at least in stream, say hi. Tell me where you're watching from. I always love hearing it. So we'll go over some of those stuff. I apologize if you're listening to this later. If there's a little bit of Kitra, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much. Welcome to you. Morning coffee, indeed. I got my morning coffee here. I hope you're having a great Saturday so far. I'm wondering where you're from, so thank you so much for joining. But if there's a little bit of a lag, all right, when the stream starts and to me talking, all right, it's not me kind of just, getting set or getting everything ready. I'm literally waiting for ads to stop, just kind of like as you guys will see. So I can't get those ads to stop playing sometimes, and I have to go through the loading section. So if there is that kind of little bit of a delay, I apologize. There's nothing I can do about it. So sometimes it might take up to 20, 30 seconds for me to start talking, but don't go. If the stream starts, I'm always here. So thank you so much, everyone. I do appreciate it. Watching from Indiana, USA. That's awesome. The great state of Indiana. I've never been. I maybe I've driven through only slightly. I actually went through Gary, Indiana when I was going to Chicago. So that's awesome, Kitra. Indiana. It might be as cold there as it is here. We have minus 14 degrees today here in good old Canada. Minus 14, probably somewhere around minus 25 with the wind chill. But it's been like that for the last week or so. But I think we're going to be getting a little bit warmer weather this week, so that will be nice. But Indiana, that's awesome. England, King Osiris, I think I remember you saying England. So that's awesome. So, again, if there's any questions, go ahead, ask your questions, guys, or leave them in the comments down below if you're listening later. Again, as you guys know, I'm Coach Nate. I'm a nutritionist. I'm a herbalist, certified training specialist. Those are all the names, all right? I don't want to call myself a specialist. That's just what my certification is. Been working with clients for a long, long time. Making YouTube videos for almost a decade now on nutrition, focused on nutrition. I haven't even got into any fitness stuff. Maybe that's something we can do later on down the road. But again, we can answer some questions. I think my goals, 4 degrees Celsius in England. It's warm then, King Osiris. Just kidding. But I think we're going to get some 4s this upcoming week. I think we got some 4s. So we're minus 14 here. My computer is telling me we got a little warmer. We're at minus 12 Celsius right now. But I think that's lying because I think it's closer to minus 20. I think it feels like minus 21 Celsius. But again, we'll go over some of the goals. I want to know how you guys are doing with your goals. Leave in the comment section below. I'm getting a few messages. Sometimes I'll pop on here in the mornings, and I'll have 9+ messages. It could be numerous types of comments. A lot on diet. There is so many on diet. How much of this should I be eating? Should I be focusing only on this? Should I only be eating? Like one question was, and this is why it's so complicated. You get so much information out there. Sometimes we can be bombarded with information a little bit. I got one question. This isn't to call someone out or to be judgmental. I mean, I would probably ask the same question 15 years ago. Should I only be eating vegetables and fruit? And the answer is just no. We need other healthy macronutrients in our life. At least that would be my answer, and I think that would be most nutritionists or dietitians' answers. Yeah, you want that to make up most of your diet, good portion of your diet, but you want to be getting a bunch of different foods. Here on the Canadian Food Guide, it actually says variety, which I like. As you guys know, if you've listened to these streams, variety is key. Don't eat the same thing every single day. You'll just get bored. Thalma, good to see you. Good morning, Thalma. I hope you're having a great Saturday. Great to see you as always. That's definitely why I'm here. The nutritional focus. Nice. I'm definitely thinking of going back to school to get my RD. Well, good for you. Be thinking about becoming a dietitian, Kitra. That's awesome. I think that's awesome. We have one listener whose daughter actually got sort of into nutrition from the channel. And I know the exact school that she went to. I won't say around here. But she got accepted, and she's now becoming a dietitian, I believe. So that's awesome to hear. I think there's going to be a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunities for those individuals who are going to be studying health, are going to be studying nutrition. Dietitians, I think, are always, especially more on, I think the herbalist side is going to get bigger and bigger. So your herbs, sort of your naturopaths, sort of going that way, sort of natural. So food is medicine. I'm trying to think of the right words. I don't want to offend anyone. But I think that's going to be huge. You even see things in history, in sociology. I think sociology, one of the biggest fields right now, is sociology of health, and that's looking at an aging population and, what are the diets going to be? Why are we living longer? And what is going to allow us to live longer? And that's just from some friends that I know who are working in the field, and what they're studying totally changed it up and are now studying something different, whereas they were looking at things like maybe look at public policy or things like that. Now they are looking and focusing mainly on health. And I remember I had a professor way back when I graduated. I graduated university about 15 years ago. I remember one of my professors telling me, if you want to get a job, study health. All right, look at nutrition. Because we have an aging population, and there's just so much information and so many ways that we can help individuals and heal individuals by getting into that space. And being able to provide information. So I think that's great. That's my little rant on that. Sometimes I'll get questions on, should I become a nutritionist? Should I go into, become a dietitian? It's hard work. Dietitian's definitely hard work. To be registered dietitian, like you're saying here, Kitra, it's definitely some hard work, to get through all of that. But I think it's worth it at the end of the day. There's a lot of job opportunities, and they pay quite nicely. So, and you can help people. That's the best part. You're helping people. I stopped. Okay, here's a good. Just let me real quickly point out what we're looking at on screen here for if you're in chat, if you watch this later. All right, this is the Canadian Food Guide, right? Here's our new updated Canadian Food Guide, all right? The reason why I have the Canadian Food Guide up here is because it gives a nice snapshot. And the thing is, it's Canadian, but don't be fooled, because I've done the research. The American one is very, very similar, if not the exact same, and the European one is the exact same. And it went through all of it didn't just lump Europe into, which was beautiful, it didn't just lump Europe into one conglomerate of countries. It separated the countries individually. So we were getting all of them, and I love that. I love being able to get that data from individual countries, because what you get from Belgium might not necessarily be what you get from Portugal. Italy is going to be different from England. So you need that data out there. And it was nice because I was able to get that. These all basically look the exact same. I'm going to pull up the American one here in a second, and we can just go over it really, really quickly. Now, am I a fan of this food guide? In a lot of ways, I am. In a lot of ways, I think there's a lot to be desired. This is, plenty of vegetables. If half of your diet is coming from vegetables and fruits, that is amazing. Congratulations to you. Do I think it's realistic? Probably not. And we talked about our goals. You have to make them realistic. Okay, you have to make them realistic. If you're having half of your fruits and half of your diet coming from fruits and vegetables, you would be eating fruits and vegetables at every single meal. You could probably do it with fruit if you really love fruit, but again, you want to keep your fruit intake at around maybe 2 pieces of fruit, 2 to 3, really, per day. So there's not a lot of people who are eating them throughout the day. Let's just say that. And I'm going to show some American numbers here. Expectation versus consumption, which is great info. So make sure you stick around for that. And this is why I'm not a huge fan of this, of the food guide. It needs to be realistic. And they do talk about that. But I'm going to talk about why I don't think this is realistic and why I think it's missing out on some things. If you can guess the macronutrient that's missing in here, you get 10 points, by the way. So if you can guess what macronutrient has not been separated from the rest, you get 10 points. Let me catch up on some comments here. I've stopped eating bread, sugar, and cooked food. I noticed I'm always hungry after eating those, and it made my skin bad. That's great point, King Osiris. An amazing point. I just had a conversation with someone about certain foods, bread. I'll give you a hint: bread and sugar having a major effect on skin, dry skin, eczema, dermatitis, those types of things. If you are going through that, if you're going through bad skin, you want to cut those out, all right? It can have a very negative effect on your skin. And that's one way of, here's what I always say as well. If you're starting to notice your skin being affected, that's basically your body telling yourself that it's going through some damage, whether it be inflammation, all right? Inflammation, you have free radicals, oxidative stress, cellular damage, all right? Which can lead up and show in these different ways. It can be bad skin. That's on the outside. Think of what's going on the inside. Inflammatory bowel disease, heart disease, all right? Inflammation, which can lead to different chronic diseases that I like to kind of point out. Heart disease, Alzheimer's, cognitive issues, dementia, all in the literature and just from experience, you see that. So good for you. That's awesome, Osiris. I believe that technology and healthcare will always offer good job opportunities in the future, 100%. Especially, in the States, in Canada and the United States, I know for sure. You're definitely not wrong. Healthcare up here right now is, let's just say there's a ton of job opportunities, and you're probably going to be pretty happy with the pay. But with that said as well, now you're going down the dietitian route. I'm not exactly sure what the hours. Other healthcare hours are off the charts. There's just not enough jobs. So that's why I'm saying, and we're both in agreement, there's good job opportunities. There's just not enough people filling these jobs. It's taking 6 to 8 weeks here in Canada to get an ultrasound because we have the technology, we have the machines, we just don't have the people to operate them. So it's very sad, to be honest. MRIs. To get an MRI, I talked about some injuries that I was going through. It took me 6 months to get an MRI. And then took me 6 months to get in. I was in there for 30 minutes, and that was it. So 6 months for a 30-minute little sit-through in a tiny little tube. Trust me, it's not made for people who are 6'3". It's very small, but got through it. But definitely in agreement. Snowy, good to see you. Good to see you, Snowy. Don't worry. I started the stream a little bit early, to be honest, Snowy, so no worries. Couldn't find my glasses. That's okay. Don't you worry. We'll be here for a little bit. And like I said, I started, that's not on you, Snowy. That's on me. I started early. I'm now eating raw fruits with high pH. Pink salt. Nice. Himalayan pink salt, so you get little minerals in there. Sunflower, kale. Pine pollen. Nice. Boiled and raw eggs. All right, nice, Osiris. That's really, really good. Good for you. You're switching it up. See how it works for you. Of course, fruits and vegetables, never gonna be upset with hearing that. And you got some good fats in there as well. Some protein with the eggs. I love protein in there. Getting enough protein. It's always super low. Kitra says fats. That was my guess about the question of what was missing. Fats. Kitra, ding, 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 10 points to Kitra. Yes, fats is not separated in here. All right, we do not have fats separated, and there's not even a category for fats. And here's my biggest pet peeve when it comes to food guides, whether it be Canada, the United States, even other countries around the world, is there's no separation, or for some reason, now this came right from Ottawa. All right, this is Ottawa who's making it. It's those sociology people, PhDs, dietitians. They're all getting together. These aren't government officials. These are the again, I don't want to. It's our PhDs. It's our doctors in the field who are coming up and making this guide for individuals. But for some reason, and I don't know what it is, I've tried to talk to some people in the industry, people who come up with public policy around health, and they're still having a carryover from the 1980s, 1970s, and maybe even 1990s, where we're scared of fats. I don't get it. It seems that we're just scared of fat. People are under the assumption, and the people who are making these guidelines are under the assumption that fat will make you fat, all right? They should have called it something else, to be honest. They should have called it something else, because it's just not separated. They've included the fats. If you can see here, all right, hopefully you can see my the cursor, but they've included the fats. It's like walnuts. All I see is walnuts, almonds. These might be peanuts. I think these are beans here. I'm not exactly sure. But here's the thing. They've included walnuts. They've included peanuts, almonds, and then even chickpeas and beans. Walnuts are a fat. Almonds are a fat. All right. You're not going to be getting a ton of protein from those sources. I do not know why they include them in protein sources. And I've done hundreds of consultations, all right, of diet consultations with individuals, literally hundreds. And this is where it's one of my pet peeves, is I'll ask about diet. We'll have a little discussion about diet. It's an hour-long consultation, so of course we include diet in the discussion. But I ask, tell me a little bit about the foods you're eating. They'll tell me, and then when it comes to protein, it's like almonds could come up. It'll say like trail mix comes up a lot, which is just a bunch of like peanuts, a bunch of different seeds, like sunflower seeds thrown in there. Granola, which we're still under the impression granola, because it's a healthy breakfast. That's a carbohydrate. But when it comes to protein, they're telling me about nuts and seeds. That is going to be a fat source, guys. I mean, even eggs. Yes, eggs is a great protein source, but you're not going to want to get all of your protein from eggs. Why? Because there's almost more fat in eggs than there is protein. It's almost 1-to-1 ratio. All right, I think it's 6 grams of fat and 6 grams of protein and 5 grams of fat in each egg. So that's sort of good job on that, Kitra. I mean, for some reason, we just don't see the separation of proteins and fats. It's like we're scared of fat. It's one of the major macronutrients. Right? There's not a lot of them. I mean, so you have your protein, you have your carbohydrates, and then you have your fruits and vegetables. And that's really what they want you to focus on. I mean, let's be honest. And then water, of course, super important. Probably the most important on here, next to fruits and vegetables. But yes, you want to focus on fruits and vegetables. Realistically, half of your diet is not going to be coming in from this direction. All right? That would be great. You're probably going to be a quarter if you're really focusing on it, if we're being realistic. And I'm just talking about even from personal experience. But for some reason, they have fat in the protein section and they have carbohydrates. All right, beans are a carbohydrate. Yes, they're a meat alternative, right? But you're going to be getting way more carbohydrates than you are protein. Not way more, but probably about triple. All right, the carbohydrates. Yes, good fiber, but still, at the end of the day, it's a carbohydrate. Now, these are great protein sources. I mean, you have beef, looks like chicken or turkey, tofu. This is probably Greek yogurt, maybe some fish here. Again, I don't mind. I'm wondering what these are. It looks like seeds, sunflower seeds. But just not a big fan of that. We have to get away from being scared of fat, guys. Fat is not bad. Our body needs fat. It's going to regulate hormones. If you're too low in fat, you're not going to if you're too low in fat, you're not going to lose fat for one. Right? It's going to affect your body hormonally. It's one of the macronutrients. If I'm making diets for individuals, if there's any macronutrient that I'm going to adjust, first is going to be carbohydrates, second is going to be the protein, and last is going to be fats. Usually I'll stick them at, a pretty good intake of fats, but that's going to be last. We need those fats in there. All right. One, our body needs them to be totally healthy. And then there's just so many health benefits related to them and a lot of health consequences to not getting enough fat. Doctors don't generally learn. Okay, Kitra, this is interesting. Doctors don't generally learn much in the way of nutrition. So when they're involved in making food guidelines, yes, absolutely. You are 100% right, Kitra. Doctor's job is not to know nutrition. All right, a doctor's job, all right, is to be specialized in a certain area of medicine, and that is usually more than 95% not going to include nutrition. Many of my clients have been doctors, and we've gone over, we've talked nutrition, and trust me, it's just not their job. They're going to be doing heart surgery. They're going to be reading x-rays. They're going to be delivering babies. That's their specialty. They're not looking at nutrition books or looking at the latest thing on the carnivore diet or looking at, what are the health benefits of eating broccoli? What are the healthiest fruits? It's just not, they just don't have time. They're too busy. A lot of my clients are doctors, and the discussion talks that we have are the exact same discussion talks I have with every single client out there. So you kind of hit the nail on the head again there, Kitra. They don't learn this stuff. They might take one course in nutrition in medical school. It'd be an interesting question to ask them. I don't even know if they do. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. All right? They might take one nutrition course. Maybe in university, in pre-med, they might take a nutrition course. But they're learning biochemistry. They're learning biology. They're not learning about the science of nutrition. That's just something that's not going to be happening. They have too many other things that they're focused on. So great point. So that's just my 2 cents on this food guide. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. There we go. I don't mind the whole grains here. The whole grains here are just fine. You got brown rice. If you're going to limit anything, I would say, limit some of the grains. Keep the fats there. Yes, the right fats. Exactly, Kitra. So what are the right fats then? All right, well, your right fats are polyunsaturated, monounsaturated. Those are going to be your biggest ones. Focus on, all right, try to, keep saturated fats in moderation, and then stay away from trans fats. But you need to have the right fats. Absolutely. The fats that are shown here are obviously very good. Walnuts, peanuts, almonds. Remember, if you've been listening to these shows for a while, you know my favorite fat sources are walnuts and almonds. And then also, really like hemp hearts because you get omega-3s. Yes, you get some omega-3s from walnuts and also from hemp hearts. Right? And we've talked about this, guys. And I get a lot of vegetarians and a lot of vegans messaging me. Well, I don't need to focus on omega-3s from meat or from fish, fatty fish, because I'm getting my omega-3s from things like walnuts. But remember, it's not in the form of DHA or EPA. It's in the form of ALA. And that conversion rate of ALA, which is converted into DHA and EPA, which is nice. I mean, we'll take it. All right, but the conversion rate is less than 10%. All right, maybe on my stream I was saying it was in and around 10%. It's going to be maximum 10%, and most people are going to be around 4%, even as low as 2%. So those plant sources are nice. We'll take them. We're just not going to get enough DHA and EPA from those sources, and we need to focus on omega-3s. Doctors are equally essential just in their areas. But yeah, nutrition, diet, isn't it? Exactly, Kitra. It's just like a lawyer is not going to know about nutrition, right? Unless they do self-study, they're not going to learn about it. A teacher, a painter, a plumber, right? It's just, that's why I think the jobs are going to be there, just because it's such a specialized field these days. If you're thinking about going into things like that, I think it's amazing. Cod liver oil for brain and heart health. Thalma, I'm glad that you brought up cod liver oil. For some reason, cod liver oil has been, it seems to have been forgotten about. Remember I said it was like the first, one of the first supplements out there. That and wheatgrass juice. Still very essential. If you want to still supplement with those, go ahead, because they're super, super healthy. We've just kind of gotten into this, super greens fad, where you need all of these different greens. We need like 50 thrown into one, and then that's going to make us healthy. Cod liver oil, we don't need cod liver oil. We need an omega-3 supplement with vitamin D3 that's going to give us this. If you're having cod liver oil, you're going to get some good EPA, DHA, and you're going to get some healthy fats. You're going to get some omega-3s in there as well. So you're right. Fats are good. Absolutely. You need fats, but you need the good fats, the right ones. Don't overdo it on monounsaturated fats. Everyone loves avocados. I like avocados. Not probably as big a fan as most people, but super healthy, packed with monounsaturated fat, so very heart healthy as well, in addition to many other things, right? But most fats sources are going to give you those monounsaturated fats. Don't miss out on the polyunsaturated fats. Right? Don't miss out on those. Make sure you're focusing on the polyunsaturated fats and the omega-3s. I bought walnuts and almonds, but I always forget to eat them. Snowy, you got to make it a habit. I know, it can be tough. 100% can be tough. When I take my supplements, I have to put the fish oil and the probiotic out first, or else I'll forget, because they're in the fridge. They're stored differently. So if I don't do that, sometimes I can't remember if I took the probiotic or not. So I put them out first, and then I'm good to go. But what I'd say is, maybe I don't know. I see sometimes I'll freeze them so they last longer. I buy them in bulk, and then I'll freeze them. If I don't freeze them, it's easy. But if they're in the freezer and they're not in sight, it's like the old saying, out of sight, out of mind. If I don't see them, sometimes I'm going to forget about them. So maybe bring them out, put them in a place you can see them. They're amazing. They're an amazing source, Snowy. I love walnuts. Walnuts are great. Almonds, super, super healthy, guys. Not only macronutrient-wise, but micronutrient-wise. Super healthy when it comes to the micronutrients. Magnesium, phosphorus, copper, a little bit of zinc, iron, even vitamins. Okay, you guys are rocking today. Great points. Thank you, Thama. Thank you, Snowy, for those foods. Is there any bread or pasta made from other types of grain and doesn't damage skin? I really like sandwiches. Well, you can try sourdough bread, King Osiris. Try sourdough bread and try Ezekiel bread. Those seem to be some of the ones that I've seen people have some good results on when it comes to skin. As long as the thing that usually does it is going to be the gluten, and that's just not because everyone's gluten intolerant or gluten sensitive. In fact, I think 4%, I always say this, about 4%, I seem to remember reading are only gluten, have gluten sensitivities. But I would start with Ezekiel bread. Ezekiel bread, it's going to take some time to get used to the taste, trust me. But you will, and then you'll be better off for it. And if you don't like that, sourdough bread is very popular too, King Osiris. You can try that as well. And then you should see with the sourdough bread, I know a lot of people who have inflammation throughout, like let's say they have inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. I know a lot of them will switch to sourdough bread because you're not going to get that inflammation that the other types of grains, the other types of carbohydrates, breads are creating. So they'll go and switch to that. And then that will help with inflammation, all right, for them with their own inflammatory bowel disease. But for yourself, that can help with hopefully help with your skin issue. If not, then it'll switch to something else or make another switch in the diet. You can kind of narrow it down. Maybe it's not the bread or pasta. For the pasta, that one's a little bit tougher. I don't want to say go white, unless you want to go full out and go zucchini noodles. But, with the pasta or bread, I would go with like Ezekiel or sourdough. Pasta's a little bit tougher. White, I guess, is just going to cause more inflammation. So see how the bread changes, and then go from there, King Osiris. But I would go with those. You can cook with avocado oil, absolutely. I love cooking with avocado oil. Very high smoke temperature. It's actually pretty good at high heat. There you go, high heat. Yep. If you like to fry in the skillet with healthy oils. Exactly, Kitra. Much different than like an olive oil. An olive oil is damaged by the heat as well. So you're exactly right. Coconut oil used to be the favorite for everyone. Coconut oil is still fine. But I would go with the avocado oil. I would try to stay away. Canola oil is like usually the go-tos, or olive oil, but avocado oil is great, and you can buy them in the spray with the spray, so you can do it really, really easily. Mary, good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. I didn't see the notice this morning. No worries. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you, Mary. I appreciate it. Great to see you in chat. Thank you so much, as always. Hope you're having a great Saturday. Make sure, if you are a man, to Google testosterone increasing food. Estrogen increasing food. Testosterone has been a big one here. I've been looking at some research on plastics in the food, and that's sort of a rabbit hole, and be ready to go down and read some really interesting things. And sometimes it's not always the easiest. It can be a little bit scary. Reading how much plastic is in our food, and how that can affect our hormones as well. But if you want to talk about testosterone boosting foods, you got to have fats in there. Now, it's not going to boost it where it's higher than normal. That's not what I'm talking about, and probably what King Osiris is talking about. But if you're lower in testosterone, it can help to increase free testosterone and bring you back to more of a normal. All right, in more of a normal ratio. It's not going to put you in and above, but it can help with bringing you back into that normal range. So let's just keep that in mind. Thank you so much for the likes, guys. Like I said, you guys are the algorithm to the channel. We're at 19 likes. Thank you so much. And on the last video I did, I think we're almost at 100 likes on that video. like 2% or 3% view to like ratio is super high. We had like a 15% like ratio, even more. I think it was 16 or 17 view to like ratio, and it's gotten a couple thousand views. So props to you guys. Thank you so much for that. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the content and hitting the like button. So thank you guys. I appreciate that. I love the Ezekiel bread. Do you, Kitra? Yep. I have a few loaves in the freezer. Very nice. I like it too. I'll be honest. I like it too. It took me a little while to get used to. But I'm a fan of Ezekiel bread for sure. Plant foods for your family. Absolutely. Make sure you're getting those plants in, vegetables. Regular wheat breads are hard on my stomach issues. Yeah. But the sprouted bread like Ezekiel, absolutely. Yep, they can definitely be a little bit tough, cause a little bit more inflammation. If you have stomach issues, if you have any digestive issues, they can definitely be a little bit tough. But it's great that you found something that works for you. That's nice. If you can go to that, then like switch to Ezekiel and that works for you, amazing. So hopefully that happens with you, Osiris. Zucchini noodles are good. I know. They are, aren't they, Mary? They take a little time to get used to, but they are underrated. They're not exactly like regular pasta in terms of taste. High quality sauce and noodles are quite good. You guys are hitting the nail on the head this morning. It's exactly right. If you have good tasting like sauce, healthy stuff thrown in there, add some things. I like adding zucchini and mushrooms into my pasta. A little bit of beef thrown in there. That's how I like my pasta anyway. I like protein if you can't tell. Throw it in there, you're not able to tell. So I like them too. I just got a zoodle maker at the holidays. That's so funny. I just threw out zucchini noodles and you guys are big fans. They're a great alternative for pasta. 100%. So I'm not surprised those individuals who are up on a Saturday morning discussing on a nutrition stream are into the zucchini noodles. You guys are literally the 1%. You guys are the 1%, so shout out to you guys when it comes to our overall health. Now, let me just throw something else up on here. So it's easiest, and the people who have the best information is always, at least the easiest to find, is always the United States. And so that's why I'm going to put the United States information up on here. But Canada is the same. Europe is the same. It says U.S. populations, but, don't always think that I'm just picking on the United States or anything like that. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Canada is no different from the United States. We might as well be looked at the exact same when we look at our eating habits. People like to always call out the United States and talk about obesity levels. Canada, we're right here with you. As I've showed in the numbers, Europe is catching up. So don't think that I'm picking on the U.S. here. It's just that I was able to find these dietary guidelines for America. And by the way, this is for 2020 to 2025. By the way, here's why it's so confusing for most individuals. You look at these dietary guidelines. This guideline is 164 pages. If I was starting out in nutrition, I would have, you're exactly right, Kitra, we're with like minds, 100%. 100%. But if I was starting out in nutrition and I found this dietary guideline for Americans or just trying to learn more, I would be overwhelmed. I wouldn't even pick this up. 164 pages. I wouldn't even know what I was looking at. The best book that got me into nutrition when I was 18 was the simplest. It was almost like a pamphlet. Was the best book I've ever read. It was probably the best book I've ever read, and the one that stuck with me the most. I wish I remembered what it was, but it was on diet, and it just taught me so much and led me in the right direction on diet, on nutrition, and everything like that. I wish I could remember it. I would give them such a big shout out, but it was a great, great book, and it was simple, and that's what we need. We need to simplify everything. My favorite snack is chopped avocado with pink salt, pine pollen, and microgreens. Wow, very nice. 84 minerals from the salt, 20 amino acids, very nice, and proteins and loads of vitamins. Pollen is, yeah, absolutely. Microgreens too. That's a nice. I'm with Kitra on this. Amazing combo. You got a little bit of everything there, don't you? So you got some good, good fats, healthy micronutrients, amino acids for the proteins, which is great. That's super important. You need those amino acids. You need a complete amino acid profile. So I just want to focus in on this. Maybe I can. I don't want to. Okay. I think this is good. Won't let me drag. Sorry about that. Let's go back. It won't let me drag, so we'll just go back to this. So here's dietary intakes compared to recommendations. So remember I talked about, all right, what are we recommending and what do we actually intake? Remember I said about being realistic? My first wake-up book was hilariously Twinkie Deconstructed. That's awesome. Then I think The Omnivore's Dilemma. That's awesome. See, we can always remember the first wake-up book, don't we, Kitra? I remember mine. It'll stick with me forever. I think it was something like, now that I think about it, I think it was like from couch potato to something like that. From couch potato, I'm going to find it because it was an amazing book. But remember I talked a little bit about realistic guidelines, right? Half of the plate being full of vegetables and fruits. And I said, well, it would be great if we ate like that, but it's just not realistic. No one's gonna jump into that. So here's what we're looking at: total vegetables. All right, the dark blue is the recommended. All right, the intake below recommendation. All right, the purple, all right, is your intake at above recommendation. Okay, so basically, right, the foods. Let's say they're recommending 50% of your vegetables. Here's how many people aren't intaking 50% vegetables. Here's the percentage of the people at or above the recommendation. So if we go through vegetables, and a lot of people, it's funny because when we start getting into things like this, all right, this kind of makes people uncomfortable. But it's really, really important to talk to because, again, it's talking about realistic expectations for our diet. And the other one is be easy on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Keep things simple. All right. I think that's the big one. So total vegetables. I mean, look at the amount of people that are below recommendation. I mean, it's just off the charts. You're almost off the charts here with some of them. That's almost 100%. And I don't mean to laugh. It's not a judgment way. It's just, who's doing these recommendations? It goes back to my first question before. Who's coming up with these recommendations? How do we make it simpler for individuals? And how do we do it in a way where we're recommending these foods that are actually realistic? Right? How do we? And that's where it comes. And that's why, Kitra, I think, becoming a dietitian, myself working as a nutritionist, right? Working as a trainer, specialist and a nutritionist, it goes hand in hand. I mean, that's where all my nutrition info comes from. All right, this data is very, very helpful, but if you're working with clients, I mean, you get no better education than that. Exactly, Kitra. We need to know why, don't we? Right? And if we know why, then we can start to make those changes. And I think we know why. I mean, if we're so low on the intake below recommendations, did we succeed? Did our guidelines succeed? Or why aren't we succeeding? Maybe it might be another question. All right? What can we do to help us? All right? So let's look at just the total vegetables. All right? Probably just over 10% of individuals are eating the recommended intake or above. All right, I'll just say at the recommended intake of total vegetables. 90% of individuals are not eating the recommended daily intake of vegetables. Wow, that's just so mind-blowing when I saw this. I love the graph too. So we look at total vegetables, 90%. All right, dark green vegetables, about almost 80%. are below. All right, we're not getting in enough of these dark green vegetables that are so healthy for us. And it just goes down the line. Red and orange vegetables, so thinking about things like beets. Here you're looking at even getting some nice sweet potatoes and stuff in there. Look how low it is. It's almost 100% below the recommended intake. That is incredible, right? Red and orange. And just because most people don't know what red and orange vegetables are out there. All right, everyone hears about dark leafy green, right? But red and orange vegetables, a lot harder to come up to. I'm thinking root vegetables and like bell peppers, beets, things along those lines. You want those because you're getting good anthocyanin and antioxidants with the red. And then, you're getting a lot of vitamin C, a lot of antioxidants. There's a lot of benefits to those red and orange vegetables. Now, beans and peas and lentils, a little bit higher, but still less than 20%. All right, are eating those vegetables. Starchy vegetables, super low, barely 10%. And then just other vegetables, maybe a little bit higher. I'm not exactly sure what's thrown in other vegetables, but you're still just at 30%. So overall, in what is recommended, the total vegetables, right, at the U.S. population, right, is at 10% of vegetables. It's the same thing in Canada. It's almost the exact same thing in Europe and across the board. Australia, wherever you go. So don't think, again, this is just a U.S. issue. Yes, it's U.S. numbers, but you can substitute those other countries in there. Just making the switch to using spinach leaves instead of iceberg. Nice, yep. Or other not so nutrient dense lettuces makes a difference. Yes, it does. Use it in salads and sandwiches. That's a great point, Kitcha. I go, right now I'm on 2 salad a day kick. One is like iceberg. It's like your regular iceberg lettuce. And this has been just since January. And it won't stick. But the one that I really focus on has like baby spinach, has Swiss chard in it, arugula, a bunch of different nutrient-dense lettuces. And I really, really like it. I really, really like it. It's one of my favorite meals of the day. Put a little bit of olive oil on it, a little balsamic vinegar, and I am good to go. I've talked about this before. I got to show the recipe on here. And now look at this. So that's vegetables. We know vegetables are going to be low. But look at this. This surprised me so much. Fruits. All right. Not even 20% of individuals are getting to that recommended intake. That was a shock. I thought that was a major shock. That was a major shock to me, the fruits. Just the amount of people that aren't getting it. Over 80% of individuals aren't hitting the fruit intake. So we need to do a little bit better job, not in ourselves. Personally, that's why I always talk about the goals. But, getting these recommendations out and then teaching people, all right, how can we increase, these vegetables, the fruits, the things that we want in our diet that supposedly are going to be making up 50% of our diet. If we look at it, all right, the recommendation 50%, all right. In hindsight, the intake is less than 15. Incredible. Those are just amazing numbers. I always love looking at these graphs. And now here's another one. All right, if we look at total grains, and this was, a quarter. All right, maybe in the other graph they're talking about protein. All right, they didn't talk about fats. They said a quarter should come from grains. Whole grains would be nice. I always tell people, and we've had this discussion right here, haven't we? Talking about Ezekiel bread, talking about getting away from refined grains. All right, sugar, talking about that. Well, unfortunately, for the recommendations of whole grains, it's unfortunately about 98% of individuals are not getting in the daily recommended intake of whole grains. All right, only about 2% of individuals are eating the whole grain recommendations. Refined grains are what people are going to. All right, refined, low micronutrients, higher glycemic index, going to be raising glucose, going to be raising insulin. This is why a lot of times too we have the obesity issues that we do. But again, this is why I like people getting fats and proteins. And again, you don't see fats in here. Remember I was saying in the other ends, guys, that we are like-minded. On this American one, it's vegetables and fruits, right? Fruits and vegetables. Your carbohydrates with grains, and then protein. Where are the fats? There's no fats that are being looked at here. We are scared of fats as a society, of individuals who are making this, at least. Scared of fats. I mean, the fats need to be on here. The fats, all right, are just as important than your vegetables. I would love to see the data, all right, of fats. I would much rather see the data on fats than I would on grains. We already know this. I mean, we already know that grains are going to be high, and it's mostly going to be refined grains. So refined grains, those sugary ones, low micronutrients, enriched, just not the best food choice. You guys know what some of my favorite whole grains are. Dairy, this one we can kind of leave out. And then you got your protein. People are doing a fairly good job. This is wow, the refined grains, I just keep going back to it. But people are doing a better job with the protein. And it makes sense. I mean, people like beef, they like chicken, they like eggs. Apparently, they don't like seafood. But then, if you look at, this can be a little bit skewed. So, nuts, seeds, and soy products. Well, soy is in so much of our food these days. I don't know, what they're counting in that for soy. But again, it doesn't really matter. We're seeing nuts and seeds just so low. I guess there's our fats right there, but it's only coming from nuts and seeds. There's so many other good sources of fats other than nuts and seeds. That just makes up one small area of our variety. But again, no fats really. I want to see changes in school lunches. Yep, children that are growing nutrition they need to develop properly. Here in the U.S., offered meals are not only conducive to good health, but very detrimental. No, that's not a rant at all. No need at all there, Kitra. I think you're 100% right. It starts there, doesn't it? It starts learning at a young age what the healthy foods are. How do you make a healthy diet? What should be included in a healthy diet? And then, what are good fats? What are fats? What is protein? What are carbohydrates? Just knowing all of that. How many fruits and vegetables should we try to get in per day? Now, you don't go from 0 to 6 or 8. Go to 0 to 1. And then 2. Let it climb. Let it climb up there. You won't go from 0 to 6. We're just not made like that. We got to build the habit. Build the habit every day. But again, this isn't to be judgmental. This is just to show you the guidelines of our intakes. So you saw the Canadian and the American one are pretty much the exact same. But you guys saw the recommendations here. And then you saw what the real picture looks like. All right, so this is all great. We can have these recommendations here, but what are the numbers on the intake? And we see the intake is way lower than what's being recommended. So I hope you guys, food for thought, no pun intended. I know you guys do a very good job, just the foods that you're telling me here. Excellent. I'm happy to hear that. Kitra, thank you so much for all your contribution to the live stream today. I really appreciate it. Everyone else as well. Let me give a big shout out to King Osiris, Kitra again, Thalma, Snowy, thank you so much. Mary, thank you so much. And everyone else who's been lurking. How many people do we have in here? Very nice. Okay. So thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. And then same thing with water. I'll just say real quick. Same thing with water. We are chronically dehydrated, guys. Most of society is chronically dehydrated. And again, this is not to be preachy. I know you guys are doing a good job, but just to throw it out there, if someone finds this, we're chronically dehydrated. Almost every consultation that I've done, most of my clients have not been getting enough water in the day, and that's just starting at 8 glasses, keeping it simple. It's like 1 or 2 glasses. It's not, you're never at like 6 or 7. It's always like getting my 8, doing well, getting about 3 liters or 0 or like 1, like a cup of coffee and then maybe a little glass of water at night. So we need to make sure we're focusing on water as well, guys. Well, that was our check-in. I was going to make this a 20-minute stream. Maybe 20-minute to 30-minute stream, but I see we're almost at an hour. Hopefully everyone found this just to be a little bit informative, provide some value, and I find it just fun just talking about it. And again, thank you so much for the engagement. Everyone that I mentioned here, thank you so much for the engagement. I really do appreciate it. Kitra, I hope to see you in more of our discussions. I hope, give that dietitian thought, maybe a little more thought going on, because it's from the sounds of it, it sounds like you'd make a great dietitian, I have to say, with all your information and everything, the foods you're eating. And everyone else in here, just keep it up, guys. Thank you so much. Keep it up. You guys are doing an amazing job. Just being in here on a Saturday morning, you're doing great. Keep it up and keep it going here. If you need more help, we're going to be doing more of these check-ins, so we'll keep some accountability going. Helps me as well. These are for me as much as they are for you. All right, we're all in it together. Glad I could make it. I feel like this was really uplifting and informative. Great, Kitra. Thank you so much. My pleasure. Thank you, Kitra, and thank you everyone else. Thank you for the kind words there, Kitra. Hope you have a great rest of your day as well. So big shout out to Kitra, big shout out to everyone else, and I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, have some fun, and then we'll be back on our next stream. I'll make sure I get the notification out in good time so we know when the next stream is. And we could be just doing a check-in, or we could be, talking about foods that can lower cholesterol. Really, I still want to do my fermented foods one, so getting some K2 and the health benefits of K2 stream in there. So maybe we'll go down that route. Or I was doing some interesting research on what the most powerful antioxidants are, so maybe we'll do an antioxidant stream. That's the beauty of it. We have lots of information, lots of roads we can go down here for our overall health. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for the likes as well. Appreciate you all. Have a great day, and I will talk to you next time. Bye for now.